Okay, so here we go with another DC Multiverse unboxing from Mcfarlane Toys, and this is the Huntress. And it says it's the new 52 version of the Huntress, but honestly, I kind of feel like this costume, it looks enough like really most of the costumes that the Huntress has had since Hush. It's very much inspired by the costume that first appeared during Hush that Jim Lee designed. This particular one just happens to have like long pants and covers up her tummy, but it's still kind of that same black, purple, and white ensemble. Now you might notice she's missing her face. You might have already noticed that. It is rattling around in the package there. You can see it. And it just came loose, I guess, while it was shipping. See, there's her face. And she's got two other faces in there. So she's got three different faces. I'm trying to figure out what the differentiation is between all three of them. One of them looks like it's got a little more hair hanging down on the sides, so that's cute. But let's go ahead and here's the artwork on the package. I believe that's I have no idea how to say this artist's first name. Guillaume Guillaume March. I don't know. I'm stumbling over the artist's name, and I feel bad about that. Very talented artist. I believe that's their artwork. Lovely piece. I really like that artwork. But anyway, I've just never heard the artist's name pronounced, so I'm not sure how to say it. You can see it's the collector edition, which means it's overpriced. This one was definitely overpriced. Some of these I look at and like, the mullet version of Superman came with crypto. So I'm like, okay, well technically he comes with an extra figure. So I can justify that being a little more expensive. And some of them are like this one where it's like this probably just should have been like a regular, like not even one of the $25 figures, one of the $20 figures. This was there's not a whole lot here to justify this being this expensive of a figure. And I kind of feel like for the most part you know I kind of feel like the collector edition figures just in general are overpriced by about $5. So let's go ahead and get her out of the package. And she does have a nice fabric cape. It's got some wires on it, so it does have a little bit of value to it, I guess. But then again, you know, Dick Grayson Batman and Hugo Strange and Adam West Batman, those were all like, just regular figures, and they had wired capes. So what is it that makes this girl worth the extra money? I have no idea. So we got a bunch of rubber tabs. She's got one around each one of her forearms, each one of her shins, and then she's got the dreaded double rubber tabs around the torso. And that one's rather deep in the package, so that's the one, of course, that I'm struggling with. There we go. Need to get a sharper knife for my X-Acto, or sharper blade for my X-Acto knife. Try to pull some of these out, because I know they were falling out on the other side, and try to prevent having a bunch of these on my floor. And hey, this one doesn't even have a stand, does it? It doesn't even have a stand for the card. So you're telling me that you decided to not even give her a stand for the card for this expensive action figure, and you didn't even give her like the one thing that I point out. Well, at least it's got this thing that's some extra add value. No, we don't get that with her. Not get a stand for the card. That is really irritating. So, phooey on you, Mcfarlane, for that. If I did not love this character, and I make no mistake, I do love this character, I would have passed on her in a second. But anyway, here's the trading card. Same piece of artwork on there. Same kind of border design that we have for the usual Mcfarlane collector editions, where it's just down the side. Here's what the back looks like. Let's read the bio real quick. Huntress, New 52, allegedly. Data file, real name Helena Bertinelli, Helena Bertinelli, however you want to pronounce that. A crossbow wielding urban warrior and a core member of the Birds of Prey, the Huntress takes aim against crime in the dark heart of the city. Which city? Just say Gotham City. We know it's Gotham City. Caught in a struggle between her rage and her role as a superhero, the Huntress has come to represent the darker shades of gray in Gotham. Now, the original version of the Huntress, who was created during the Bronze Age, 1970s, that one was an Earth 2 character, and she was the daughter of the Earth 2 versions of Batman and Catwoman. And since they've got an Earth 2 Robin coming out and an Earth 2 Batman, which that one comes with Ace, so his price is justified. I kind of figure maybe they should have made this the Earth 2 version of Huntress rather than the so-called New 52 version of Huntress. It might as well just be like any kind of early 2000s version of the Huntress. I don't know why you'd have New 52 on there as a selling point. It was not successful. I mean, it was kind of, I guess, short-term sold pretty well, but they wound up rebooting that thing like 5 years later, so couldn't have done that well. Let's see if we're being real about it. Sorry, New 52 fans, I'm just stating facts. All right, so she does have quite a few accessories, and you've seen me like kind of picking them out of here. I haven't really been talking about them much, because I've been browsing about other things, but we'll talk about them in a second, I assure you. Let me get the figure out of the package. And I want to be really careful with this cape, because I don't want her cape to get hung up on anything. Like if there's a rough edge on this bubble, I don't want to get hung up on it. And the cape is quite nice. It has the wires on it, like I said, and it's got some white trim around the edges, so that's cool. I do think it's a little on the small side for a wired cape. It doesn't really have like as much flow to it as the larger capes do, I think, but you can still get some pretty cool poses out of that wired cape. And yeah, first thing I noticed about her when I got her, took her out of the package, I got her in the Batmobile at the same time, was that her face had fallen off. And I'm like, she's a fembot! So let's have a look at those faces real quick so we can see the different faces. And I honestly don't understand well, I dropped one of them already. Where did it go? Okay, well, I'm just going to be real about it since it fell, and it fell in this box of stuff. And there we go, I found it. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to find it, but I did want to compare them. I don't think that this was worth having, if these were the only two in here, I don't think that would be worth having a swappable face. Because one of them just kind of has, kind of a neutral expression, and the other one has kind of a slight smirk, almost like a Mona Lisa smile kind of thing going on. They're both made out of fairly hard plastic, and it's a different expression. I can tell it's a different expression, but it's not really like that different of an expression. Like if one of them was like grinning, like actually grinning with like teeth showing, or one of them was angry enough that they were kind of snarling or like that kind of thing, that would make sense. But these are just kind of like, and is it really that different that we need to have a different face to demonstrate that? And the hairs, this other than the expression, those two faces are the same. Now this face, at least, you can see it has like some hair down, and it actually has a different mask. Like you can't really just to see, you've got the pointy ear part of the mask. It's not really ears, but you know what I mean. The bat ear kind of thing going on, which that's what the Bronze Age Huntress had, and Jim Lee brought that back when he redesigned the character. But this one is more like a 90s style of mask where it just kind of has the suggestion of that and doesn't have the actual ears. And this one does have kind of more like the chin strappy kind of thing that Jim Lee likes to do. So this one more sort of justifies itself because at least it has a different mask, and that kind of justifies the gimmick in general. But I kind of feel like they could have just done this mask and the other face. They could have just had two of these, and it would have been just as easily done, I guess. You know, if you're what I'm saying is, if you're going to give us two different expressions, give us different expression. Give us something where, like, you know, like there's some point to swapping out her face. At least with this one, there's a point to swapping out her face. So let's go ahead and put this one on first, so we can see that. So, like I said, it's like if you wanted to be just kind of like a general. So the variant version of this is actually colored like the '90s version of the costume. So that's probably the main reason why they did it this way, so that you could have both versions. It does seem like her neck is a little short. It might actually be the neck post. That was a problem that Three Jokers Batgirl had, I think. So, and you can see that she's got two open trigger finger hands on the figure already. And the other alternate hands that came with it is we've got two of these open sort of gesturing hands. So we have those. And then we've got two solid fists. So that's the hands that we have for the Huntress. And I'm probably not going to use any of those. I'm probably just going to keep the gripping hands on there because I like having gripping hands best. And then, of course, it's the Huntress. You got to have her ubiquitous crossbow. And they did do a nice job with this crossbow. It looks like it's nice and thick and sturdy, and maybe a little too thick at the actual bow portion of the crossbow. Does not have a string on it. Sometimes they have like a string sculpted onto it. This one does not have that. So let's go ahead and put one of the other faces on here. And I think I'm going to go with the slightly smirky face because I like that one a little better. I like that expression a little better. You can almost imagine her like flirting with the question and him just being completely oblivious. So head articulation, the head should in theory rotate all the way around, but she's got longer hair, so it kind of bumps into the shoulders a little bit. She can only look up about that far because, again, the longer hair. She can look down about that far, tilt her head somewhat quizzically from side to side, but again, longer hair, it's getting in the way. So sometimes with these figures, they manage to engineer the hair in such a way where it doesn't really interfere with the articulation too much. But with Helena here, they did not quite get that. Her arms rotate all the way around to the shoulders, but she does have these kind of rubber shoulder pads here that kind of hinder that somewhat. They're going to bump into the shoulder pads when you try to move them. So I probably would have rather they attached the shoulder pads onto the deltoid if possible. But it still probably would have hindered her movement somewhat. She does have a bicep sole, so the bicep rotates all the way around. Her arms go up about that far. Again, that rubber shoulder piece is going to kind of, I can get it. Oh, it pulled her arm off. Don't worry, it's a ball joint. It'll pop right back in. I was able to get it to move up a little further, but it seems like it kind of, the shoulder piece kind of bumped it back down a little bit. She does have the double jointed elbows, so that's about the range of motion you get at the elbow. Wrists rotate all the way around, and they're on the Mcfarlane ball joint, so they can move any which way you want. But it does seem like these are a little stiff, and this is a particularly delicate looking wrist joint. It's very dainty and tiny. She has tiny little wrists. Sometimes with these female characters, because of the ball joint, it seems like the wrists are just a little bit thick, but they did look. It looks like they tried to make these a little more dainty on her. So I'm a little gun shy about moving them around too much. So anyway, what I was saying is like I kind of felt like since they did the Earth 2 versions of Batman and Robin, uh, they might as well have done an Earth 2 version of the Huntress instead so that they could all match up since they were all coming out around the same time. I suppose you could still stand her with your Earth 2 figures and just pretend it's the Earth 2 version, even though she's wearing a different outfit. But, maybe they'll do an Earth 2 Huntress later. That would be nice. But she seems like the character that, like, variations of the Huntress would be few and far in between. She's a character that's well known to comic book fans, but she's not quite as well known to the mainstream, even though she's been in some cartoons and she's been in some live action versions. There was the Birds of Prey television show that lasted for a season, and she was on Arrow for a little bit. And then, of course, she was in the Birds of Prey movie, but that one didn't do too well at the box office. So she's not that well known to the general public. And of course, in all, well, not all of those, but most of those, it was the Helena, however you want to say that, Bertinelli version, who was the one that, in the post-crisis, they only had one Batman. They didn't have an Earth 2 Batman. And they still wanted to keep the character of the Huntress around because she was pretty popular. So they rebooted her into the daughter of a mobster who she'd witnessed his murder and the murder of her mother at the same time. So then she became the Huntress. And like a very similar character in a lot of regards, but technically a different character. I think she's considered kind of like the same character, but she's a different character. So in the New 52, actually, they brought back Earth 2, kinda. They did their own version of Earth 2. We'll put it that way. And when they did their version of Earth 2, uh, they brought back the idea that she was the daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle in that other universe. And actually, she was Robin for a little bit in that version. But of course, this is a New 52. This says it's a New 52 Huntress, but it also said it was Helena Bertinelli. So which one is it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a pissy mood today. Because I'm being awfully critical about a lot of things that maybe shouldn't matter so much, but maybe should. I do feel like this figure is overpriced. That kind of set me off, and it not having the stand for the trading card is really irritating. It shouldn't really even be that big a deal whether or not it has the stand for the trading card, except for the fact that this is an expensive figure for what it is, and that would at least add some added value to it. And I don't understand why they didn't just give me a stand for the trading card. If you're going to kick me while I'm down, don't spit in my face while you're at it. Anyway, let's get back to the articulation. So she's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation. She can move any which way you want to up there. A lot of good posing possibilities there. And same at the waist, it's the same sort of thing. And she does have that cross symbol on her chest. She's a very Catholic character, so she wears a big, huge cross on her chest. We're not going to be subtle about that at all. The paint detailing is good. She's got like the white stripes down her legs, and I'd already pointed out how she has like a black cape with white trim to it. So this is very much of the Jim Lee school of Huntress designs, which is fine. I actually like that costume quite a bit. Some people did not like Jim Lee's Huntress costume because they thought it was silly that she showed so much skin, and I'm like, well, he's taking it back to the original costume, and that showed a lot of skin. But the thing that got them, I don't think people cared so much about the bare arms or the bare legs, and you can see that she doesn't have any of that. Her whole outfit covers her whole body, and I'm fine with that too. But the main thing that people had a problem with on that Jim Lee costume was she had like a little cutout peekaboo window over her tummy, and people were like, there's no point to that. Why are you just, well, he did it because it looks sexy. Like, this was back in the days when it was okay to make a female character look attractive, which they don't seem to really want to do so much anymore. And then, you got people complaining that it's woke and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, do we have to make everything into a political argument these days? Look, sometimes you want a character that's like a female character to have some sex appeal because most of the audience, at least most of the audience that used to read comic books, was teenage boys. And trust me, as somebody who was a teenage boy, I appreciated a little bit of fan service every now and then. So, like, I certainly don't have a problem with it. But, but yeah, these days, like people just get all up in arms about the male gaze and everything like that, and I'm like, it's not just men that like attractive women, right? you know, plenty of women like attractive women. That's why you see women cosplaying as characters like, say Power Girl or Vampirella or Red Sonja at comic book conventions because they like beautiful, sexy women too, and they usually are beautiful, sexy women, and they want to look like beautiful, sexy women, so they wear those costumes. And like, there's an empowerment to it, I think, for a lot of these young ladies, and good for them, I say. Whatever rocks for them. And I don't mean to go in on some kind of screed about how, like, women should be allowed to be attractive, but women should be allowed to be attractive. I'm just saying, like, if you wanna wear a costume that covers all the, like, I like this costume, so I'm not complaining about this costume. Well, just so we're clear, I don't mind the Huntress having a full bodysuit, and if you want to have the Huntress in a full bodysuit, that's cool. I got no problem with that. But I also have no problem with, like, if she's showing a little bit of leg or showing a little bit of tummy or what have you. It's all good for me. It's all good for me. Like, I don't want Wonder Woman in a full bodysuit. I want her in the traditional Wonder Woman costume. Supergirl, you can give long pants. I don't care if you give Supergirl long pants. It doesn't bother me. Power Girl's current costume has long pants. I like that just fine. But my point is that it shouldn't be too big a deal one way or another. And sometimes I see women just dressing sexy in real life just because they want to dress sexy. Maybe they're not trying to impress anybody, they're just trying to feel good about themselves. And they should be allowed to. And since women do that in real life, women should probably do that in comic books too. I'm just saying. So, rant over. Let's get back to the articulations, since I keep getting away from that. So, her leg kicks up about that far, so pretty decent range of motion on the leg, like slightly more than 90 degrees, so that's good. She does have double jointed knees, and the knees, oh, that snapped. I was really worried for a second there, and I wasn't even trying to force it either, but that's about the range of motion we got on the knees, double jointed knees. Does not appear to have a boot cut. It looks as if this is all one solid piece here, so it's not painted or anything. And she does have the cool Mcfarlane ball jointed ankles, which are camouflaged at this point with like some sculpting. But you can see that the color of purple, you can definitely see it on the camera. It's actually worse on the camera than it is in person. It is a slightly different shade of purple. Unfortunately, did not come out quite the same shade as the rest, but her ankle can point down about that far, point up about that far, and it rotates all the way around, both where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. And then she's got toe articulation just to show off, which really doesn't do much of anything because the toe section of this foot is so freaking tiny. Let's get a look at what the Huntress looks like while she's holding her trademark crossbow. Pretty cool. And if I were going to put one of the gesturing hands on, I would put one of those open hands over here so she could kind of have a Han Solo thing going on as she aims her crossbow at an evildoer. So, Joe Staten was the artist on the post-crisis version. He was the artist on the pre-crisis version. He designed the character. I believe that the listed co-creators for the Huntress were the writer Paul Levitz, the penciler Joe Staten, and the inker Bob Layton. Staten and Layton. So So I guess as Bob Layton must have had some input as to the design of the Huntress as well, or some of the story ideas for the Huntress because he was a writer too. Uh, I usually more associate Bob Layton with Marvel, and especially associate him with Iron Man. I consider him to be like the Neil Adams of Iron Man. So he's the Iron Man what Neil Adams is to Batman. I think about as high praise as I can give somebody. Uh, but but yeah, so Satan came back and redesigned the character for the '80s version, the post crisis version, and she still had pretty much the same costume. And that mainly, I think he redesigned the mask, tweaked some other things as well, but it was pretty much a very similar costume. And they gave her the new origin and the new ID of Helena, however you want to say that, Bertinelli. I hear it both ways, and I'm not sure which is accurate. If I say both of them, then nobody's going to correct me, right? Somebody's still going to say in the comments it's Helena or Helena, but I don't really care. I think if I was doing a movie, I would probably just see how the actress who plays the character wants to pronounce it, and just be like, okay, that's how we're pronouncing it. Unless she has the same problem as me, where she's like, I don't really care. so, so yeah, in the '90s, they redesigned her costume like a couple of different times, and the when Jim Lee came back and designed her costume in the 2000s, he definitely wanted to take it back to the original version of the Huntress, so he gave her that sort of more old school mask with the flared ears to it. And frankly, I like that look better myself. Even when it's the Helena Bertinelli version of the character, and she's not like really blood related to Batman anymore. I do like her having kind of a callback to the original version. And at some point, when I get the Earth 2 Batman and Robin figures, I'm probably going to pose all three of them together, even though, like I said, technically she's not that pre crisis version. But if she's the new 52 version, she really should be Helena Wayne. Helena Wayne, I think that works better. Helena Wayne rhymes too much. Maybe that was the intention. I don't know, but Helena Wayne seems to roll off the tongue better for me personally. So I think maybe I'll default to Helena for the future. But yeah, the Huntress was always a cool character, whether she's a Wayne or a Bertinelli. I like both versions of the Huntress, and you know, I kind of feel like she's different enough you could have both of them coexist, but she's also similar enough that you could just do a thing where, like, if you wanted, the Huntress to be both of them, I suppose you could say that Helena Bertinelli is an alternate identity that she uses when she's on Earth One, so people don't keep asking her if she's related to Bruce Wayne, and she, uh, kinda, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, she's a pretty cool figure. I was worried that the mask, the face portion, might be a little too loose since it did fall off in the package, but it does seem like it's staying on pretty well. So that's a concern that I no longer have. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this. I've still got like quite a few things I need to open up. We still got a few more Mcfarlane Multiverse. We still got this Man at Arms I need to open. I think I'll probably do that tomorrow. I think that's probably going to be my plan, unless something else catches my fancy. I've got a whole bunch of GI Joes, so I figured I'd probably do those within the span of a week. So that might be next week that I do that. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Turn off on YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Huntress, both the figure and the character in general. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye. No, that's still going on. Huh.